welcome back to my channel. My name is Cindy Castillo and this week is all about Mother's Day. I thought it would be a really cool idea to create a tutorial on this beautiful rose right here. In case you want to create something really unique for Mother's Day, it's a rose that's gonna last her forever, and if it is handmade by you, then she's gonna completely fall in love with it. I know this piece is for my mom because she is everything to me. She supports me in everything and anything that I do. So this one's for you, mommy. And if you want to follow along with me and learn how this is made, or just want to watch for fun, then by all means keep on watching. Alright guys, so let's get started with this piece. And as you can see, I've already laid out the shape of the rose. I drew it out using just a regular lead pencil, and I'm basing this off of this picture that I found off the internet, and it's from DeviantArt. And I'm gonna provide you guys with a link in the description box below. So I based my drawing out of this one. It's a little bit different. It's not as in detail as this one, of course, because I just want to get a feel of what the shape of the final rose is gonna be. I don't want the exact same drawing because in the end the details are all gonna be in the paint. Now we're going to be using the following materials. As always, we're going to be using an assortment of brushes, and you're going to see, and I'm going to show you which ones I'm using throughout the process of this video. I'm going to be using a rag just to clean up my brushes in between uses. As always, I'm going to be using a plate to blend, and I'm also using a cup of water. Alright, so for this painting, we're going to be working with the following colors, and I'm just going to read them off as I go. From left to right, we have Ultramarine blue, we have Titanium white, we have, what's this called? We have Brilliant red, we have Medium yellow, we have a black, a dark green, and a medium green. So those are the ones that we're going to be working with at the beginning, just to start off. So we're first going to start off with a background, and for that we're going to be using a large brush like this one, and this is a number 12. So we're going to wet our brush a little bit, like so. We're going to wet it a little bit, and I'm looking for the background. I'm looking at a dark green background. So for that, we're going to be using, of course, our dark green and our medium green, and just doing a mix of colors between those two and the white and a little bit. I'm not sure, I'm debating whether or not using the black. For now, I'm not going to use it and just go straight in with a dark green and just doing different shades of that dark green, this green, and the white, just to add some dimension to the background. Now, of course, this is our first layer, so you're going to notice that the color seems a little bit sheer. So don't worry about it too much. You can always, as always, painting is all about layers. So what we're going to do is just put down our first layer of green and then let it dry a little bit. You can always like go to another area and then wait for this area to dry and then come back with a second layer. And if you guys want to mix up your own green, you can always, of course, go in with your blue and adding a little bit of yellow. So I put in a little bit of yellow in there, and of course grab your blue as well. Alright guys, so we're gonna leave it like this and then just let it dry, and now we're gonna start off with our rose. Alright guys, so now to move on into our rose, we're gonna be using, of course, our reds. And for that, we're going to be starting out with this one right here, and it's called, I believe, Brilliant Red. And we're going to be mixing in a little bit of the white just so that it tones down a little bit of the brightness of it, because I don't want it to be too bright. So it's going to turn out a little bit towards the pink side, which is fine because we're going to start out laying out our base color. So I'm going to start out in the middle and just laying out the base color that we want for our rose. You want to fill out the petals, but then again, you don't want to be filling out everything, because then you're going to lose your outline and you're going to lose where your petals are supposed to go. So as you can see, I'm kind of like letting myself know where the petals end and where they begin. So the white parts that are being left out tells me that that's going to be where this petal ends, and that way I can add the shadows towards the end, and I mean the shadows towards the middle part and then the light towards the end. And if in the end you find yourself losing a little bit of where the petals are supposed to go, you can always go back into your reference picture that you printed out, and that's going to be super helpful in order for you to kind of like understand where you want to go with your painting. So always refer back to this, because it's going to help you out a lot throughout the process. I decided to make my rose so that it fills the entire canvas, but again, you can go ahead and turn it into whatever you like. So if you want to make a smaller rose, a smaller bud, you can always take off these outer petals and just make it smaller, or if you want to move it a little bit far right, that way you can add a stem to the bottom. That's totally up to you. Again, leave it up to your imagination. A super helpful tip that I found, actually I learned here on YouTube, is that if you're kind of like not sure how your painting is coming out, or if you like the shape or not, what you can always do is use your phone and take a picture of it. So take a picture on your phone and then look at it and just see where you kind of like where you could make changes to your painting. For me, I know right off the bat, as I'm seeing it on my phone, I want to make changes to that top part. So in the end, once we've kind of like established a little bit of the details of the rose, I'm gonna go back and cover this part right here a little bit with the background color, because I'm not liking how this top part came out, but we're gonna come back to it later. Alright, now that our base color is laid out, we're going to go back to our reference picture and just see where the shadowing is going to go. That's going to be our next step, and for me, I'm going to start out focusing on the center bud. So for that, I mixed up a darker red. I mixed this color right here, and that was just doing the, what's this color again? The Brilliant Red, and that was just mixing it with a little bit of black. A little bit goes a long way, so be careful with that. And we're just gonna go off and reference here where the darker shades are, and we're gonna translate that into our painting. So I see there are shadows, and this is just using the same brush. So I see that there are shadows. I'm looking at this part right here, so I'm gonna start putting those there. There are shadows here. So as you can see, I'm using two brushes here, and this one is with the lighter color, with this base color, and then the smaller brush has that dark color. So what I'm doing is laying out the dark color where I want it. So let's say here. I'm laying it out right there where I want it, and then just going back with the other brush with the other color and just blending them together. That's always worked for me. I don't know for anyone else, but if you want to go ahead and give it a try, feel free to do so. So the main thing to remember here is this. For any type of rose that you're drawing, the most important thing to remember is that the darker colors, like your dark red and your almost blacks, are gonna go towards the center of the rose. So towards where the petal starts, and towards the edges of the petals, that's where your whites are gonna be, your highlights. So for any type of rose, you're gonna notice that pattern, and that's just because the center of the rose, that's where the least light hits, if that makes sense. So less light gets to the center of the rose and more light hits the outer parts of the rose. So that's why these parts are where our highlights are gonna be, and our shadows are gonna be here towards the center. That's kind of like, to me, that's the most important thing to remember when trying to do any kind of rose. Since I can't reach all the way up there, I'm just gonna flip over my canvas and work backwards for a little bit. Alright, like I said at the beginning of the video, I didn't like the way the rose came up here. I think it's a little bit too tall, so I'm gonna go ahead and go in now with my background color, this one, and I'm just gonna fill out these parts. So I'm gonna be using this brush right here and just go back with our background color, which was the dark green. So I really didn't like this color, the dark green, straight out of the tube. It's a little bit too blue for me. So I went ahead and just went back to my blue and yellow mixture. And I think that gives off a way prettier green. See, that's way better. Now on this part, what I'm gonna do is focus on the highlights. And again, like I mentioned at the beginning, the highlights are gonna be towards the edges of your petals. So we're gonna do that just to make it, just to make the petals stand out. And all I'm doing is just doing kind of like a zigzag motion with my hand and just going very lightly, very delicately. And as you can see, this is adding like a really cool glossy effect to the rose. Alright, so now that we have our highlights down, I went ahead and took a picture with my phone, and what I'm noticing is that a couple of the petals need a little bit more shadow, kind of like these ones where I do have a shadow down, but it needs to be a little bit deeper. So what I'm going to do is just go in with a little bit of black and just go over these edges right here, kind of like the ones that need to be deeper. And I'm just using the tiniest bit of black. Hopefully you guys are able to see the difference. Alright guys, so this is basically our final piece. And I do think that adding those strokes of black definitely made a difference in making the petals stand out a little bit more. And I forgot to mention that I did paint the sides of the canvas in between breaks. And one last thing that we're gonna do now is, of course, like with every painting that I make, is add our signature to the bottom. Alright, so that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I do want to leave you with a couple of pointers when it comes to drawing roses. Number one, make sure to draw your rose first. This is going to be especially helpful if you're a beginner and you're just getting your feet wet when it comes to drawing roses. You want to have a stencil like this one, like the one that I provided for you, just to look back and referencing that throughout the process. It's going to be super helpful, and you're going to find that it's going to make your process much better. Number two, you want to remember that the shading of the rose is what's most important. Whether you want to draw a red rose, a blue rose, a purple rose, a yellow rose, or whatever, you want to remember that the shading is what counts. So once you've drawn out your rose, just remember that the parts of the rose that are darker are this part of the petals. So you want to have the darkest shades in here and then gradually switch to your lighter shades and then do these kinds of highlights. So your lightest colors are always going to be on the edges of the petals rather than the beginning. The beginning is where your darkest shades are going to be. So if you're drawing out a purple rose, you want to keep your lightest colors towards the end and your darkest ones, almost black ones, towards the center. So that's going to be key when creating any rose. And the most important thing for drawing a rose or any kind of painting basically is to be patient. Don't expect to sit down and have a painting done in 5 minutes or an hour even, or 2 hours even. This did take time. It took me 2 days to film this over the 4 hours at a time. So it does take time, it does take layering of colors, and it does take a little bit of editing and just going back and fixing your mistakes and adding shadows and adding highlights and just making sure that it is up to your criteria and the best way that you want it to be. So if you have to step back for a little bit and then come back to your painting, it's totally fine. That happens to everyone. Hopefully you guys liked it, and hopefully you guys can take a little bit of tips and tricks and techniques from this video so you guys can use them in the future. So yeah, and if you have any questions or if something wasn't very clear in this video, as always, you can drop those in the comments section below. I'll be more than happy to help you out and answer any questions that you may have. If you do like this video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like these. Hope you have a wonderful day, and hopefully I will see you on the next one. Thank you guys. Bye.